Good morning, everybody. I'm Larry Weissoon. If you enjoy real-world hunting and fishing talk, you're really going to enjoy listening to my good friend, Luke Clayton, and his guest for the next hour.
This is David Fox, and welcome to Outdoors with Luke Clayton and Friends. Luke has been a recognized outdoors writer for the past 3 decades and writes for a host of outdoor publications. Luke pens a weekly newspaper outdoors column that appears in over 40 Texas newspapers. Luke is on the pro staff of Pyramyd Air, your one-stop shop for everything air gun related. Smokin Tex electric smokers and AGM Global Vision, maker of an awesome line of thermal hunting scopes and spotters. Feel free to contact Luke through his website, catfishradio.org. Now let's join Luke and his guests for this week's show.
Well, thank you, my friends and folks. We have Mr. Larry Weissoon coming to us today from down at Atlanta, down at the Dallas Safari Club convention down there. Larry, thanks for breaking away just a little bit. I know how busy you are at those conventions, but thanks for being with us this morning.
Luke, as always, it's my pleasure. And you're right, it has been already extremely busy here in Atlanta with the DSC convention going on. Tremendous number of people. I've always said this is like a huge family reunion, and it really is. And even with us having moved from Dallas down here to Atlanta, it's great to run into all these many friends and make a whole lot of new ones as well, too. So, but DSC, we're very proud to be associated with in so many different ways. They've been a sponsor now for ever since you and I got together. And, of course, they're all about conservation and a whole bunch of other things like hunter advocacy and education. And we've had a lot of great booths here as well, too. I've had a chance to go by the Hornady booth. It's been a sponsor. And of course, they're really great sponsor and love their ammunition. And Mossberg has been around as well. And the Stealth Vision guys have spent a bunch of time with them as well, too. And even Taurus and Rossi are here. So only guys that we're missing here as far as we're concerned, as far as our sponsors, is VINEYARDMAX, and going to try to get those guys into the next one, or maybe the event that we've got coming up in July. And we'll tell people very quickly about that a little bit later on. But we got the DSC Foundation event coming up in mid-July there at the Gaylord in Dallas. So for those folks that weren't able to get to Atlanta this year, we'll hopefully see them there. But got a lot of things going on. Great convention, raising money for conservation, spending a lot of great time with people. But I have to tell you too, I'm leaving here in about a day or so and headed back home, and then I'm headed to Durango in Mexico for Coues deer. Going to take a Mossberg with a 6.5 PRC rifle and of course Hornady ammo and Stealth Vision, and go down there and see if we can't find a big old Coues deer. Awesome, Larry. Then that's going to be fun. That 6.5 PRC, I have one of those also, and I absolutely love that. I've actually killed a couple of hogs and 2 deer with it. It's just a sweet little caliber. I mean, I don't know if I'd go, use it for a grizzly bear, but it's for most deer size game. I hunted with a 243 for so many years, and killed a lot of game with it. I really did. It's the only rifle I had for a long time when I was in my 20s and into my 30s too. But this 6.5 PRC kind of reminds me, the way it shoots, and all of a souped-up 243. I don't know. That's just the way I look at it, It'll get the job done, though. It really, that a lot of folks, of course, have used 243 for a long time. And here in the last several years, we've had the Hornady has just been kind of on the leading edge of developing cartridges, particularly as far as the PRC line, which includes the 6.5, the 7, which I absolutely love as well too, 7mm, and then the 300, which I've shot some things with as well too. But I'll tell you what, they stay on top of things, and the bullets they have are, they've got the ELDX, which is extra low drag, which means that bullet can travel through the air a whole lot quicker, a whole lot faster, a whole lot flatter than a lot of the other bullets that are out there right now. So, Hornady does just an absolutely great job. And as you mentioned, steadily and dependable, and that's kind of what those guys really are when you get right down to it. I'm going to be hunting down there. This is the interesting thing about, I've hunted Coues deer in Mexico in the past, a fair amount in Sonora and a little bit in Chihuahua. This country in that we're going to be in, or the terrain and habitat there in Durango, is about 8,000 feet elevation. So it was cool to have Stealth Vision put together a custom turret for me specifically for that area, but it's going to be a little bit different compared to the past. Most of the time when I've hunted Coues deer, it's been where there's been big swallow and barrel cactus and thorn bushes and all that. And this time we're kind of going to be up in the pines. Matter of fact, I'm told that property has a fair elk herd there as well too. So going to be interesting to see what all we come up with. And then we get finished with that hunt, it's going to be time for you and Jeff and I to go back out to my lease in West Texas and do a little bit of venison collection.
Yes, sir. Venison procurement. That's right. I'm looking forward to that.
Venison procurement. Yes.
How about that? I've got a new term for it now.
I like it.
and that's what we call our second opener of deer season. I nicknamed it that last year because that's kind of what it is. We're out there and big old wide open country and lots of deer, and it's the kind of a deer hunt that a sure enough old time deer hunter dreams about. You're in good game country, and are you going to see deer? Yeah, you're going to see deer. You're not going to hunt a couple of days and not have a chance. That it could happen, but I don't think that's what's going to happen. And
no, it shouldn't, because last year when we were out there, we started playing with VINEYARDMAX and put it out, and you were very, took a really nice old mature doe with a muzzleloader on that hunt.
Yep.
And what I'm going to do for you guys get out there, we have feeders up, and this time of the year, those bucks are still dominant. They're hanging around the feeders. You just and I found out last year
yes,
when we were there, thinking
did.
we'd see a lot of does. So what I'm doing this year, right before you guys get there, I'm going to have about 10 or 15 places away from the feeders set up to where, we're going to put out VINEYARDMAX, and we're going to scatter it out enough to where even if there are bucks coming to those areas, those does can still get in there without being harassed by the bucks. And so hopefully this year we'll make it a little bit easier than what we did last year, because it kind of came down to a challenging hunt when it was all said and done, just try to shoot a doe. It
did, Larry. Had we not baited those areas away from the feeders with VINEYARDMAX, I don't know. Well, I'm not saying we couldn't have, just walk the roads and put a lot of time in and probably come up on some does. I bet we could have, but we was wanting to try to get them in for a good close shot so we could look them over close, and that's what we did. They smell those grape hulls, which since then you and I both have used VINEYARDMAX. Folks, if you don't know about VINEYARDMAX, we're talking about it's a dried grape hulls that are hammer milled and mixed with rice bran and corn chops. And, we all know deer eat corn. But what I think, Larry, makes it so effective is the fact that the scent. Corn, I'm sure deer can smell corn from a good distance, but they can certainly smell the aroma from those grapes, the dried grape hulls. And that's got to be a big player in the reason it's so effective, don't you think?
Without a doubt. What always amazed me ever since we started using it, a lot of times deer can be really finicky, but almost immediately when we put out the VINEYARDMAX with that grape aroma, if you will, we had deer come to it, even though those deer out there in the western part of the state where were hunting had no idea what grapes were. So, and I've seen the same thing happen on other properties as well too, even where they have never before been exposed to any kind of grapevines of any sort. They come to it absolutely quickly, and like I said, I even warned you when we started putting it out. So let's not put it right around the feeders, because I don't want to chase them off, because I've seen deer just totally run from, a different smell kind of thing. So it's an amazing product in so many different ways. And of course, now at this time of the year, with the MLD program that we have, and then also some of the late muzzleloader and those kind of late youth season that I think may still be going on right now in most areas of Texas. This is the time that you really need to hunt food sources, and that VINEYARDMAX can be your own little personal food plot, even though there's nothing growing there. So hunt the food sources, but if you get an opportunity and you still need, take some animals, nothing better out there than that VINEYARDMAX to get them into a position and put them in a position where you want to, have a good shot and a good opportunity to look at those deer before you pull the trigger. Because in some areas of the state, if we haven't already lost antlers, we may be losing antlers pretty quickly. So you want to look at those deer very closely before you pull the trigger on an animal thinking that it might be a doe.
You bet. It's a great asset in getting them in close. Folks, VINEYARDMAX, you can learn about that, VINEYARDMAX.net. They're a company out of Nacogdoches. And then, too, Larry, of course, our muzzleloader season is underway, but after that, basically the seasons close, the regular seasons, but right. So many ranches, where we're going to hunt on your place out in Sterling County, managed land permits are available. So really hunting is through February. Used to, it was kind of rare to have a ranch with the permits, but now probably as many bigger ranches have them as that do not have them,
You're right, and that's given us a lot more opportunity to hunt well into February, which is really great because in both your and my instances, we're really busy sometimes toward the tail end of December and even early January, and maybe not get to hunt as much as we want to. And with those permits, it really allows us to hunt a little bit later. And two, I've noticed, like on that property that I have out west that I hunt on, I see bucks sometime in February that well after the rut, as they're trying to rebuild their bodies, if you will, I guess, that they have a tendency to get out and feed a little bit more during daylight hours. And so you really get a chance to kind of look at some animals that you might not see any other time. Exactly.
That's a good point. Well, I'm certainly looking forward to that. And, I want to take a minute to thank all of our fine radio stations. This is a podcast. Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and Friends becomes a podcast. It's available everywhere you can find a podcast. But thanks to the radio stations, I know up in the Panhandle with Dumas and Amarillo and soon to be Borger, there's some great folks up in the 806ers, we call them, up in the Panhandle. But I'm sure glad that we're on up in that part of the world, too. It's a big old ranch country and all that, and some fine folks up there. But, thanks to everybody that's been listening. We've been doing this now, Larry, for 18 years, and we've been doing it every week. So back in the day, people to listen to it, quote, online, it was not a podcast. They'd either listen to a streaming on a radio station, or go to catfishradio.org, and it's still there every week. That's another way to get it, but that used to be the only way you could get it, get our station. But thanks to everybody that listens, and Larry, thanks to you, buddy, for being with us all this time every week. I can't remember a week that you weren't with me on Campfire Talk right here, so I really appreciate it.
I really appreciate the opportunity to be with you. And like you said, I want to thank everybody that listens, whether they get to listen to us on the radio or on the podcast. And I am thrilled to see us back up in that part of the Panhandle of Texas that I hunted up in there. And I can't wait to get up there again in the future.
Folks, this segment is made possible by Ultrimatic Feeders. Go online to ultrimaticfeeders.com and check out the most awesome line of game feeders in the world. I've been using these things for 15 years, and I've got one that's been in the woods about 10 or 11 years. I forget exactly how long. Check them out, ultrimaticfeeders.com. Another thing I want to tell you about, VINEYARDMAX. The website is vineyardmax.net. They make an awesome line of game feeders, fish feeders. They're just an awesome product, but they also have a deer attractant. That's what I really want to tell you about. It's called VINEYARDMAX. It's made from dried, hammer-milled grape hulls and wheat bran, I think it is, or, ground up wheat, and also some corn chops. So it's got stuff in it deer like, plus it's got that scent of grapes that we've used it. Larry and I have used it out in West Texas where a deer have never seen a grape and had them come in on it. So check that out, and the website again is vineyardmax.net. Friends, I want to tell you about an awesome camping destination, Wind Point Park on Lake Tawakoni. It's over on the far east side, kind of the northeast side of the lake. It's a pristine park. You can go there and view, I think they estimated a couple of hundred deer on that couple of hundred acres there. Cabins, beautiful RV park, fishing piers, docks. It's got everything you'd want in an outdoor destination. Check them out online at windpointparktx.com. Folks, this segment is made possible by Smokin Tex electric smokers that I've been using a long time, CatfishPro catfishing baits and catfish supplies, Ultrimatic Feeders, and AGM Global Vision, maker of the spotters and thermal scopes that I hunt with. Well, friends, let's head up north of where I live anyway, up near the Red River, near Forestburg, Montague County. Mr. Don Gresham is a longtime friend of mine. I bet you a bunch of you have met Don at the Hunters Extravaganzas and the different shows. Don was big into building and erecting, setting up hog traps, going fencing, I believe it was. Don, thank you, buddy, for being with us.
Hey, well, thanks for having us on a beautiful morning like today.
You bet you, buddy. So there's so much to talk about. You and I spent a lot of time, and I've learned a lot about your family history and everything that's going on. Here's what I know about Montague County and Forestburg. I've actually never hunted there. I've hunted a bunch just a little bit west of you and some east of you. I was raised in Red River County, far east of you there. But the body size of the deers, I've had friends that had land up there around Forestburg. Those deer on average are bigger bodied deer. I don't know the genetics, maybe from Gresham County, which is known for big deer. Maybe that's part of it, but mature deer are pretty good size in that part of the world, aren't they, Don?
Yes, sir. We have somewhere around the 140 to 155, maybe getting up to the 165 area. Depending on how everybody feeds, you can always tell when a new buck moves into our property because it'll be skin and bones. But once it gets ready to leave, it'll be nice and fat.
Yeah, that's some fertile ground, for fertile country up in there, too. I know that for a fact. Deer numbers are also strong up in that part of Texas, too, aren't they?
It is. We've got plenty of does. That's why I like to leave the does alone and then shoot the bucks, because if you've got the bucks on the property, the does on the property, that makes the bucks happy. And it keeps bringing more bucks in. We're close to the LBJ grassland. There's 40,000 acres over there, and whenever they start hunting on that property, it moves them right on up to our property.
You bet.
Which is nice. You never know what you're going to see coming out of the woods.
Exactly. And then also, I'd like to get in a little bit, Don, to your family history, which is, I find, pretty fascinating. Gresham, German ancestry. I know that. You're mostly German, aren't you?
Yes, sir. My mom was a Volkman that come over. She didn't come over, but her grandpa did, and her great-grandpa come over in the early 1800s. He signed the books over at Montague County in 1870. I seen his signature over there when I was researching our oil lease, and I thought that was real interesting. And then while I was doing the search, I found another item, Charles Volkman was granted, not Charles, it was John Keenan, which is our great-grandpa. He was granted 4,428 acres. I found the receipt for that in the books. Now, many people get to look at the books over at Monteg, but I know a lady that she knows us real well, and I get to go in and do research with that.
That's amazing, and that goes back to when the deed first got into your family, probably the mid 1880s, possibly.
No, it'll be earlier than that, between 1820 and 1850, somewhere in that area. Because Charles, which come over, he signed the books in 1870, and John was already here. He had a family of 12 living in his log cabin, and he was partially blind, and he took his oldest daughter, and they went to Arkansas to pick up a load of apples, with a horse and wagon. He was gone for about a month. Well, during that month, it was the Red River War days, and a band of Indians come across and raided the cabin and killed 12 out of the 14 people that was in the cabin that night. And my great-great-great-grandma, she lived 10 days until somebody could come by and get the two little kids. And one of the little kids was my great-great-grandma, Cynthia Keenan. They hit her upside the head and threw her out the window and left her for dead. And then John Pascal, Ben Pascal, he ran out of the door when the Indians come in, and he ran to the cornfield, and that's where he hid until the Indians were gone. The Cynthia's mom was scalped, and she lived for 10 days waiting on somebody to come by and get the kids, waiting for a passerby. Because we live on the Butterfield stagecoach route. It comes right across the property.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yes, sir. And Ben Pascal, he lived in Denton until he passed away.
That's absolutely amazing. Folks, I'm going to get to spend a day with Don later this winter, maybe in February, but our buddy Larry Weissoon, who you heard earlier in this show, he's been with me on Catfish Radio for now every week for 18 years, Don, every week.
Oh, goodness.
Yes, well, we've got a history, Larry and I, on this radio.
You do.
Yeah, but we're going to come up and visit with Don. And the things that we're going to learn, I mean, we're scratching the surface right now, I have a feeling, but so much history ingrained. But Don, what really gets my attention is the fact that you still, I wish I had those kind of roots. I can go back to a great-grandfather, and then past that, I have no clue, My son did an ancestry search and learned a little bit, but you still live on the land. I mean, you're right there where your family roots began, really, aren't you?
Yes, sir. There's been a little of it sold off. It seems like when the older generation passes away, then the new generation comes up, and some of them see the money more than they see the land.
Yeah.
And that's what happens is some of it got sold, and we're down to about probably 3,000 acres or so that's still in the family. There's about 10 different family members that live on the property.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really beautiful area, nice and quiet. When the sun goes down, there ain't hardly any lights anywhere.
Yes, sir, I can imagine. And then, of course, I've met your son when he was younger, and when I was younger, I remember him real well. But he lives in one of the old structures there, right?
He has the house, but he don't live in it because of all the rattlesnakes that help live inside the house.
Oh.
During the wintertime, they'll move in underneath the floor. You can go inside that place and stomp on the floor and hear them rattling.
Oh, my gosh. Well,
He lives in a trailer house right outside of the Rock House. The Rock House is the oldest house in Montague County, and he owns it. And it was built somewhere around 1870, but it is still in really good shape.
Other than those rattlesnakes. Now that every cloud, what is it saying? That every cloud's got a silver lining, I guess is the saying. But those rattles, for someone like me, I've hunted so much in snake country in the years past, and all quail hunting and wandering, almost stepping on. Never been struck at even. But I am definitely, I know what a rattlesnake, the damage they can do. That's one thing on a warm day. There's you got to keep your eyes open, don't you?
Yes, at 70 degrees, 65 to 70 is when you really got to start watching in January and December. Today's supposed to be 78 degrees, and if you go down below the cliffs, you got to be watching.
Well, I'm going to try to plan our little trip in February. I'm going to wait for a cold front. Oh, Don.
His house that he has, it's got 18-inch walls, and it was known to be the fortress in the area. Everybody, if anything started happening, everybody would run to this house, and they could defend it well. On the second story, which is basically the attic, it has 3 gables, and each gable has a window, and the windows would open to the inside so that you could defend it. And our family was Germans, and they're all stonemasons that come over, so everything on the property was built out of stone. It's pretty neat the way they built it.
Yeah, and then, well, there's a lot of rock up there. It's still in that part of the country.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
They got all of the stone off of the property.
Folks, we're visiting with a longtime friend of mine, Don Gresham, up in Forestburg, out of Forestburg, of course, Montague County, which is right up on the Red River, and so much history and so interesting to talk to. But Don, you grew up, I'm sure, as a farmer rancher up there, didn't you?
I grew up in Denton, and then we moved up here.
Okay.
My dad was a farmer. He took it over from my grandpa, and my grandpa naturally took it over from his dad, Charles Volkman.
Yeah.
But we've been up here. We've been, me and my son has been managing the ranch. We do about 900 acres of it for the last 23 years. And it's definitely a handful.
Yes. I can only imagine that. Well, Don, one other thing I want to bring up before we close on our little segment here is this March the 1st in Greenville, Texas, at the Top Rail Cowboy Church. I want to extend an invitation to everybody. And Don is going to be at our 6th annual. It's called the Luke Clayton's Outdoor Rendezvous. It's not about me, I promise you that. But I did get it. I helped get it started 6 years ago. It's on about, I think, 14 acres, Don, and all of our friends. Campfire's going. We got chuck wagon cooks out there. It's got just a whole bunch of fun stuff going on.
And to meet new people, meet new friends.
Yes.
It's always about meeting friends and getting everybody out and about.
Yes, sir, and that's what we're going to. You're going to be there, and I bet you some people that hear this are, they're probably going to have a question or two about all that rich history that you know about up in that part of the world. But we have a camp cobbler and hot links, and there's people, all kind of, vendors out there, bands playing all day long. So, friends, if you might be interested in coming this year, you can, the Top Rail Cowboy Church, Greenville, Texas. I mean, Charlie Nasser, my good buddy's the pastor there, but he's got all the information. There's no fee to set up booths, none of that. I ask people if they can leave a donation for the church, but most of them do, but you don't have to. No fee to get in there. So that will be March the 1st. Don?
All right. Well, that sounds like a winner.
All right, buddy. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, and look forward to getting up there and maybe looking for some sheds with you. How about that?
All right. Sounds like a winner. Maybe we can get a pig or two because we got a whole bunch moved in.
Folks, let's talk a little outdoor cooking. Let me tell you about an electric smoker that I've been using for 15 years, I guess. Smokin Tex electric smokers. If you're tired of staying up all night keeping that wood fire burning when you're barbecuing, give Smokin Tex a try. They're made to last a lifetime. You can check them out at SmokinTex.com. That's SMOKINTEX.com. Well, friends, Mr. Larry Weishuhn is going to tell you about the finest hunting optics that we have ever found.
Luke, these are called Stealth Vision. They come from Crockett, Texas. Dr. John McCall developed them. They're 34-millimeter tubes as opposed to the narrower tubes, so more light transmission. They have a little green light that comes on. That scope is leveled because that's when you want to pull the trigger. They have an optional lighted reticle as well too, and a whole lot of other products. And folks can learn more about them by going to stealthvision.com.
And for seasonings, anything to do with outdoor cooking, all kind of jerky seasonings, sausage seasonings, Butcher Packer Supply. That's butcherpackersupply.com. I think the website is butcher-packer.com. Friends, this segment is made possible by Platinum Cadillac and Chevrolet in Terrell, Texas. Stop by and visit with my buddy, Mr. Justin Rudd, and his team of experts, and let them put you in a new Chevy pickup or a Cadillac or whatever you might be in the market for. Also, the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma. Check them out at ChoctawHuntingLodge.com. Also made possible by Pyramyd Air, your one-stop shop for everything airgun related. Well, friends, about 18 years ago, when I first got talked into having an outdoor radio show, I decided we had to come up with a name. Catfish Radio with Luke Clayton and Friends. I thought that's what it needs to be. Well, that's what it is. For 18 years, that's been our name of our show. And I do have a lot of friends on there, a lot of good friends. Dusty Vickery is one of them. Now, Dusty and his wife, Nicole. Dusty's a manager of the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, north of Hugo up there in the beautiful mountain country. And his wife, Nicole, helps him manage things, and they've become great friends through the years. I want to have Dusty with us. We're going to talk a little bit. He's going to tell you about something that's coming up there. And maybe just if you're not familiar with the Choctaw land up in that part of the world, maybe you can learn a little bit. Dusty, thank you for being with us and enduring my lengthy intro here, buddy.
It's always good to talk to you, Luke. And I'll tell you this, it depends on who you talk to. My wife may actually be the one in charge of everything, just depending on who you talk to on that deal.
Well, if you talk to Dusty Vickery, I know what you're going to say. No, it's great though. It's great that y'all can work as a team and run a happy operation up there. I've never talked to anyone that's ever been up there to the Choctaw Hunting Lodge hunting, and it's not just hunting. That's what I think about, strictly hunting, but fishing and just an outdoor destination up there is what it is year round. Y'all do weddings.
We've got to where we've got something going on, pretty much year round anymore. I mean, once the hunts wind down, then we start doing lodge rentals, and we're doing more weddings and stuff like that in the summer, early fall right there. So there's something going on all the time, buddy.
It definitely is. Now, there's a benefit, for the lack of a better definition, I think like a raffle. I want you to, it's for a great cause, probably a lifelong friend of yours, but tell us about that and how people can get involved. That's one of the main things I want to get out on our little visit today, Dusty.
Well, so what we're doing, we're originally from Minka, Oklahoma, which is southwest Oklahoma City, about 45 minutes or so. And one of my Mike Carroll's a friend of mine. We've been friends for 30 years and went to high school together and stuff like that. Mike was diagnosed with cancer here a few months back. And so we've been trying to figure out some way to kind of help those guys out, and, as they go through this thing right here. And so what we decided to do, my family is actually purchasing 2 hunts from the Choctaw Hunting Lodge, and it'll actually be 2 free-range whitetail hunts, and it's going to be the opening weekend of rifle season here in Oklahoma. But what we did is our family purchased those hunts, and then we're basically doing a raffle, raffling those hunts off. We felt like we could do the best for this family by doing that way and try to raise as much money for them as we can. But what we did is I posted a video on Facebook, and I tagged several people in that thing. I tagged you, Luke and Larry Weissoon as well, and several other, friends of mine, different things. But that's where we're doing it at, is on Facebook. And that post was, I made it to where it's open to the public. So, anybody can get on Facebook and look me up right there and get on that thing and buy a ticket for that deal if they're interested in that deal. And what we did is the tickets are $250 a piece. You're talking about a hunt that's worth $6,500. I've got the processing donated for free from H&L Processing in Colgate. So it'll be kind of a turnkey deal there. We've got some guys that have hunted with us for about 4 years now. Jake Break Hollow is the name of their crew, and they've got a show there on the Pursuit Channel. If a non-resident of Oklahoma wins this thing, the Jake Break Hollow crew they're going to pay for the license and the tag if a non-resident wins this thing. So, whether you're from Oklahoma or Texas or whatever, I mean, you're talking about, a hunt that's worth over $7,000, you got a chance to win that thing for $250. So, we're not putting a limit on the raffles we sell. We're going to leave this thing open till February 28th. And, we're just trying to raise as much money for this family as we can as they go through this thing.
That's awesome, Dusty. And I will mention that a lot of folks that listen to the radio show or follow me on Facebook and all that. So I'll post it again, friends, on Facebook. But Dusty,
and what they can do also, Luke, I mean, if somebody can't find it, if they can send us an email, to just get on the Choctaw Hunting Lodge website, because I mean, we're the ones that receive all those emails and stuff. So, I mean, if they can't find it on Facebook, or if they have any questions, or, if they need to try to get in contact with us, just send an email to the Choctaw Hunting Lodge, and make note in there about that thing. And we can contact you and get you the link. And we actually kind of left this part out. We actually put 2 links on there. There's a link on there where you can buy a raffle for the hunt, but there's also a link on there to where, if people just want to donate to the family, there's a link on there for that as well. So we're just, we're trying to come up with all we can for these guys, so.
That's awesome, Dusty. Now to go directly to you on Facebook, tell them how to spell your name and all that. They can search you out and go right there, can't they?
Yeah, they could. So yeah, it's just Dusty Vickery, DUSTY VICKREY.
Yeah.
And you should be able to find me there. And like I said, if not, just shoot us an email. And we've got several people involved in this thing, so we'll do whatever we need to get them hooked up with the right spot if they want to enter to try to win this hunt.
Yes, sir. Well, best wishes and prayers for your friend, and hopefully it'll be a bunch of folks that they're helping him out, but they're also getting a chance to hunt an awesome part of the world. There's over 40,000 acres of Choctaw tribal land up there. Isn't that right? Just a bit over 40,000.
Yeah, so they own about 44,000 continuous acres right there, and the Indian Nation Turnpike splits it. And so we're actually set up on the east side of that thing. So everything that we operate on is about 22,000 where we're doing these hunts up here. So, but we're, like I said, we're going to give 2 of those things away. So, it'll be, you'll have a couple of chances there on that deal, but that's what we're doing. And hopefully we can help the Harrell family out.
You bet. I'll tell you a little quick funny story, Dusty, and I'll tell our friends listening. So I went up there and on a deer hunt and / hog hunt. And I had an opportunity. I took plenty of venison for the freezer to get some good sausage made and all that. Took a nice fat doe while I was there with Larry hunting, and also I had the distinct honor, privilege to me. I shot a Choctaw mule-footed hog, friends, and I've talked about it a lot, and I've written about it in my syndicated newspaper column, and also fur fishing game. Dusty, this coming about another early summer, there'll be a feature story on that hog in Fur Fish Game magazine.
Oh, really?
Yes. And, folks, if you subscribe to Fur Fish and Game, it's the oldest continuous running national magazine in the country. Fur Fish and Game. It's a real deal. Hardcore outdoor hunting and fishing stories there. So anyway, I've got the hog loaded up, Dusty. You guys quartered it up for me and it had the meat packed on ice. I'm coming back. So back home to Texas. So I had a flat in Durant, Oklahoma. Okay, now so here's what happened. So I thought, oh my God! Well, it didn't blow out. It just I actually thought my power steering was going out on my old pickup, So I thought, let me pull over, and the tire was about half flat. I whipped in Walmart, got me a quick new tire, and here I pull back out. Look where I'm at. I'm at the Choctaw Casino. And I thought, wait a minute. Now, here I am all by myself. Got a little time to kill. I go in there and punch a few buttons and come out $600 richer. How about that?
You got that tire paid for.
You got the tire paid for. And
I'll tell you this, Luke, if you're going to hang out with me very much up here, you need 10-ply tires on that truck. You'll be fixing flats every day.
Oh, my God, that's what it was. The tire actually – I'm a stickler for I use Cooper tires is what but there's all kind of good tires out there. But I thought, well, I'm at the point where, there's a fine line. Do you really want to spend the money and buy all new tires or can these go another 10,000? Yeah. Well, that's where they won't go 10,000 up on those roads.
It's everything that has a tire on it on this ranch has got a 10-ply tire on it.
I even for a couple of times a year that I come up there. Anyway, so I thought that was the icing on the cake. Who can say they got a Choctaw mulefoot hog? Now, my taxidermist, Mr. Joe Parker, All-American Taxidermy, I asked him, what do we want to do? And, he said, cape out the skin from the legs, and he said, I'm going to make you a gun rack. So that's
there you go.
Not back yet, but I'm excited, ready for it. I've got a prominent place to put that gun rack. Dusty, buddy, thank you. I know you guys are now hog hunting a lot? Or
we're fixing to get started on that. I've actually got I've got one more deer hunt to do this week, and then 1st of January we're going to start the bison hunts, and then the hog hunts will start right there at the end of January, and that'll run through February and March, and so we got something to do every week for a while here, Luke.
It's a fun place, and friends, if you don't know about the Choctaw land up there in southeast Oklahoma, just go online to ChoctawHuntingLodge.com, ChoctawHuntingLodge.com. Check it out and plan a spring outing up there where you just get away and go fishing, all kind of fun stuff. Dusty, they're telling me we're out of time, buddy, but thank you for covering all the bases here, and it's a good job done, man.
Well, always good to talk to you, buddy.
For about the past decade, I've been hunting editor for Airgun Hobbyist magazine. I think the only magazine devoted strictly to airgun shooting and hunting in the country. Well, in that length of time, I've learned quite a bit about big bore air guns and smaller calibers too. A spot to go to that if you're interested in air guns, you need to know about Pyramyd Air. The website is PYRAMYD, PyramydAir.com. They have anything and everything you need, from the guns themselves, the big bores or the smaller calibers, to the accessories. Just remember PyramydAir.com, and there's a number when you get on the website if you need to call and talk to somebody. Give them a buzz, and they can fill you in on little details that you might need to know about shooting or hunting with big bore air guns. While you're on the website there, I'd like you to check out the big bore air gun that I've done a great deal of hunting with. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw, 50 caliber, pressures up to 3,000 psi, and it looks like a conventional rifle. Wooden stock. I think you'll like the appearance, and I know you'll like the performance. It shoots not only bullets, but also air bolts as well, tipped with a broadhead. Check it out. It's the Seneca Dragon Claw.
The snowflakes fall as winter comes, and time just seems to fly.
Friends, this segment is brought to us by CVA Muzzleloaders. In my opinion, the very best muzzleloaders in the world, the ones that I shoot. You can check them out online, cva.com. AGM Global Vision, maker of the Rattler and the Adder that I use. You can check them out online too, agmglobalvision.com. Kuby's Wild Game Processing and Kuby's Restaurant in Dallas. And VINEYARDMAX, maker of some awesome deer attractant and some very fine game feeders and fish feeders located down in Nacogdoches, Texas. Check them out at vineyardmax.net. Well, friends, I hope you've enjoyed our show thus far. We have a little time left today for me to share a venison recipe with you. And this is so simple that, cooking venison can't get much easier than this. Do you enjoy stir-fry Asian foods? I thoroughly enjoy a good stir-fry. And I'm going to tell you how I use venison. It's so simple that I could probably sum it up in 30 seconds. But the truth of the matter is we've got a few more minutes to talk. So I'm going to go into in-depth coverage on this one. But it's a venison stir-fry, and is it ever tasty? Now, you want to start out with some lean, trimmed venison. No fat, no sinew on the meat. And you want to take a good sharp knife, and you want to cut it into little pieces. Now, you remember, this is going to be for a stir fry, so you want it real thin. And how much meat you want in your stir fry, that's up to you. You know, you can put a whole bunch of venison in with your veggies, or just a little bit, either way. But I like, quite a bit of meat in my stir fry. First thing you want to do is slice that meat real thin, not big pieces, little pieces. And you want to put it in a Ziploc bag with some, I think it's called Kiko Man. It's a stir fry, kind of like teriyaki sauce, comes in a bottle, available at every store you go to. But get you some Kiko Man stir fry and pour that liberally in there with that meat. I like to add a little soy sauce too. Not a lot, maybe a couple of teaspoons of soy sauce in there with that. Shake it all around, put it in your refrigerator, and forget about it for at least 24 hours. Let's keep it cold, of course, but let it marinate. Now, a good stir-fry to me, extra virgin olive oil is what I use. You could use, I've made stir-fries when I didn't have olive oil. I've made it with just regular old cooking oil, but get you some peanut oil or some extra virgin olive oil. And I've got a little Lodge wok, a cast iron wok that I use, but I've also made it in a skillet too, something to sear the meat in is what you need, and that will hold your veggies. Now, as far as vegetables go, many grocery stores have prepackaged stir-fry veggies, that everything that you could think of in those packages. But a lot of times I will just take some carrots and cut the carrots real thin. After all, you want it to cook quickly. Carrots, maybe a little cabbage chopped up, onion, broccoli, maybe some mushrooms in there with it. Just anything that you would like in a stir-fry. Bean sprouts, if you like that, put some of those in there. You can do that and just make your own stir-fry veggies if you like. Mushrooms seem to add a whole lot to it, and so do peanuts. I love to put a handful of peanuts in there with it, not the ones with the skins on them, but just clean, like the Planters peanuts, if you will. That seems to add something to a stir fryer that I enjoy. So get your skillet hot, not red hot, but heat your skillet up with your olive oil. Put your venison, little small pieces of venison in there. Stir them around. And very simple from here on. And then just dump your veggies in there on top, the vegetables of your choice that you want in a stir fry. Stir them around and medium heat, I'd say. And the meat, I do leave the meat in there, 2 or 3 minutes. It doesn't take it long at all to get cooked. And after marinating 24 hours or more, it's going to be really, really tender. And so it'll be done in 2 or 3 minutes on medium heat. But do put the meat in first, stir it around, get it cooked where it's done, and then just dump your vegetables in there on top and use a spatula or a spoon, stir it from the bottom up, throw those peanuts in there. If you like almonds, you can put almonds, walnuts, any kind, but you put a few peanuts or something like some nuts in there, and it kind of gives it the finished product a better taste, I think. Now, as it's cooking, I like to add a little more of the teriyaki sauce. You can't overpower it. You can put too much in there because, remember, the meat is already marinated. It's going to have some of that residue of the sauce in there when you put it in the skillet. So be real careful. Don't overdo it, and definitely don't overdo it with the soy sauce because that's salty, and you can make it a little bit too powerful tasting pretty quick. So I like to have some rice on the side already cooked. And I don't like to use instant rice. I'll use some jasmine rice. Cook you a pot of jasmine rice. And then as those vegetables begin to kind of wilt down and get cooked, add the rice in there with it. Now, some people don't do that. They'll put the rice on a bed of rice, and then they'll take their stir fry and spoon it over the rice. But I like to have it all mixed together. It seems like the rice absorbs a lot of that flavor from the stir fry. But, folks, that's basically it, and that's a recipe that a lot of times I will cut up several venison steaks real fine and marinate them and then just freeze them. And when I'm at camp, deer camp, or hog hunting camp, or even fishing, camped out fishing, take one of those and put that in a skillet, and all you need is your vegetables, and you've got an instant stir fry. So I hope that helps you. That's our outdoor tip of the week, and I do hope everyone has a very happy new year this year and a successful year. I want to remind you, and I want to thank all of our radio stations that runs this show each week. It's a real, sure enough radio show that you listen to on a radio, but it also becomes a podcast. The same after it airs on all of our radio stations, all segments are put together, becomes a podcast, and that is on iHeart, a bunch of those, all of them really, Podbean and all those places. You can listen to it later after you hear it on the radio. I want to invite you to join me on March the 1st. Now, mark this down and put it on your calendar. This will be the 6th annual Outdoor Rendezvous in Greenville, Texas. It's called the Luke Clayton Outdoor Rendezvous. I helped get it started back 6 years ago. But it's not about Luke Clayton, I promise you. I'm there all the time in the middle of things with a campfire going and a Dutch kettle cobbler and some hot link sausage and kind of a focal point. But Larry Weissoon has been with me for all of them except the very first one. And Larry will be with us, and it's just a whole bunch of fun, folks. It's at the Top Rail Cowboy Church in Greenville, Texas. You can contact Charlie Nasser's the pastor there, but there's bands that go all day long, music. There's vendors if you want to be there. If you got things you'd like to market, the booths are free. I ask the people to maybe give a donation to the Top Rail Cowboy Church, but if you like me on Facebook, Luke Clayton on Facebook, the posts and the brochures are all right there. But basically, it's just the 1st of March. Get there about 9 in the morning, and it shuts down about 4. And so far, we've had pretty weather every year on all the previous 5 years. So we're hope we have a nice weather. If not, there's an indoor arena right there that they can host. It's right there inside under a covered roof. So March the 1st, mark it down. Folks, we're out of time. Thank you so much for being with us this week. Be safe, get out there and enjoy the outdoors. Folks, that about wraps our show up for this week. I've enjoyed being with you, and I hope you've had a good time too. And folks, we're also brought to you by the Choctaw Hunting Lodge up in southeast Oklahoma, located about, 45 minutes west of Hugo, Oklahoma, owned by the Choctaw Nation. It's about 45,000 acres of awesome mountain, country, hills, valleys, loaded with game. Lots of eastern turkey, and they do eastern turkey hunts if you're looking for a spot to hunt turkey in the spring. Also, I want to remind you about the Seneca 50 caliber Dragon Claw that shoots bullets and pellets. And by pellets, I'm talking about 200 and 210 grain lead, chunks of lead. It's a big bore air gun that I use. Check out the Seneca Dragon Claw there at PyramydAir.com.